Hi, my name is Carl Alanis, and I'm with Absolute Brake. And we're here today to talk about the Air Brake Plunger Securing Device, which is basically a lockout, tagout securing device for vehicles equipped with air brakes. I've had some retailers ask me to do a quick little video on the product, and that way to help some of the salespeople get up to speed, understand the product, and that way when we sell one of these products to a customer, we have the less likelihood of having a return. So let's get started. I'm going to talk about the actual push-pull valve. I'm going to talk about the 7 different designs that we make, starting from AB100L all the way up to AB700L. So the first thing we should do is talk about the push-pull valve. Now, most of you already know how it works, but for those of you that are not familiar how a push-pull valve is used, we have one right here, MV3 valve. So let's get started on that. Basically, how you use this, if the driver were to get into the vehicle or the cab of the truck, he would push down on this yellow knob, which would release the air into the system, which would allow the calipers to release from the rotor, and now you're freewheeling. Once the driver got to his location, he would then apply or engage the emergency brake, which normally you're familiar with a big gust of air that comes out of the vehicle. What that does, it takes all the air out of the system, and the calipers collapse against the rotor, and the vehicle becomes immobilized. So that's a crash course on the push-pull valve. What I wanted to do real quickly is show you how easily it's applied. And so what I'll do as an example, I will use the AB200L on a PP1 Bendix unit. You take the unit, put it against the shaft of the push-pull valve, and swivel. You must swivel on, must swivel off, swivel on. If you don't, make it very difficult to get it on and off. So I can't emphasize enough swivel on, swivel off. We have most complaints from people that don't understand that that's what they need to do, and they think they have to return it when actually all they have to do is swivel it on and swivel it off. So now the valve is secure. The vehicle, you can move around the vehicle freely and not worry about the brakes being released. For the mechanic who's underneath the vehicle, he normally would want to put a padlock through and secure the device. So now it's a lockout, tagout securing device. Mechanics love this product because pretty much when this is on, they can feel free about move around freely, get underneath, and do whatever. We've actually had mechanics get run over by a vehicle, or actually recently we had one individual killed when the vehicle rolled over him. So we want to really avoid that. That's why we emphasize the lockout, tagout on this. Okay, same thing with the commercial design. Swivel on, swivel off. Swivel on. Once it's on, you put the padlock through, and now theft deterrent, lockout, tagout. So let's talk about the 7 different designs. We'll start, first of all, with the AB100L. And the AB100L is specifically designed for the Haldex Midland valve. And it has a square cap, a plastic square cap. The difference on this valve versus the Bendix PP1 unit is this has a little button that releases the cap, where the PP1 unit uses a roll pin. Very important to tell the difference, because the caps are interchangeable on these 2 designs, and that can present a problem. On all of our designs, specifically AB100L, 200L, and AB300, on the packaging, it's very specific which cap goes with which valve so that the unit works properly. So if we go back to the AB100L, as you can tell, it's flush on both sides, square cap. This valve is mostly used on RVs and light trucks, medium trucks, but most of the time you really do see them on the RVs. They're pretty routinely on those. Or if it's on a truck, it's been replaced. Somebody's put that one on in replacement of the PP1 unit. So that's where the situation can change. So got to be very aware of that. The AB200L, again, specifically for the PP1 unit, Bendix, basically swivels on, swivels off, same difference. One thing you can tell about the AB200L, or excuse me, the Bendix PP1 unit is that it has a tapered cap. The tapered cap gives it away, and it's on a smaller design and on a larger cap too. Again, bevel on the AB200L, swivels on, boom, in place. The AB300 is designed for the Haldex Midland design here. This is very specific because it has a silver knob. And the actual valve numbers and caps, again, are on the back of the packaging. So I'm not going to be specific about that during this video. One thing that you can be sure of, that this is a very isolated type of valve for RVs and highline buses. Rarely will you ever see it on a commercial vehicle. The one thing that gives it away is that it has two pan head screws that are usually mounted flush on the surface, okay, and that this particular design does not allow for a lock, so that's why it's an AB300. Basically swivels into place, and the vehicle is secure, swivels off, and this is usually very tight, so you really have to swivel it on and swivel it off. Some of the manufacturers sent this valve out without the jam nut, so we've had occasions where it is backed off and then they pulled it off and pulled the threads off with it too. So we include a jam nut and a carry bag on this particular design that goes with this valve. So to the installation on this is basically take the cap off, put the jam nut on, bring it all the way down so it fits nice and secure like this, fits under there nicely. Then you take a 7/16 wrench, you torque it a little bit, snug it, and you're done. Swivel on, swivel off, perfect. Now we go to the AB400L, AB500L, AB600L, AB700L. First of all, these are all designed for the V3 valves and the PPDCs. We'll talk about, first of all, this is the AB400L. This one has a bevel, okay, on the bottom, and it's specifically designed because this particular MV3 valve has a stop on the shaft. You can just see it right there. Some people call it a bead. It's basically it's a stop, and it's an older design, and when you push down, that stop goes flush against the base of the push-pull valve. So if you see that so-called bead or stop, as it's supposed to be referred to as, that's specifically for the AB400L. Also on this design, if you notice that when it's in place, it's almost flush to the bottom. Like for instance on the AB500, if you can see the base of the valve and it's fully exposed, it's either the AB400L or 500L. The difference between the 400 and the 500 is that on the newer design, the shaft is tapered and smooth. So there is no stop. So it basically, the stop's within. So that's the difference. So the 500 doesn't have the bevel at the bottom edge because it doesn't have a stop. That's the only difference. Remember that, as you can see in this design, gives you a bird's eye view. You can see the base right here of the valve. It's fully exposed. So AB400, 500, they have the same design. Only difference is one has a bevel for the stop, which would be the 400L. I'm trying to be really clear on this. Let's talk about the 600L. AB600L is designed specifically for the ProStar. So It doesn't fit anything else. It's only for the ProStar. ProStar has a contoured dash, and thus usually has a wood grain. So we put Teflon on the bottom so that when you slide it on, you don't scratch the dash. So it swivels on in place. You put the padlock through. Theft deterrent, lockout, tagout. Very specific. Fits really nice. We get to the 700L. Now this is the catch-all. And to give you an example, this is designed for installations that have a trim piece on the dash, meaning you can't see this little base right here on the edge. You can't see that base. It actually secures to the cap. Oops, it's not secured. It basically secures to the cap versus securing to the shaft. The reasoning for that is because usually the trim pieces come about this high, so these other two designs won't fit. Again, this one comes with Teflon on the bottom, so most of them have either wood dash or some sort of covering that we don't want to scratch. So again, this is the catch-all. It's a little shorter in design, as if I put it right here, you can see. And these are specifically to be put over the yellow knob, if you will, or the tractor air supply. It's not for the trailer supply. I'm just doing that as an example right here to show you exactly height on it. So again, catch-all, Teflon on the bottom. This fits basically your Volvos, your Internationals, some of your Kenworths. They all have trim pieces on them, and that's where this particular design comes in. Okay, so now we have an option now that's come out, and we're referring to it as a theft deterrent sleeve. It's available through the distributor. Basically, it looks very simplistic, but this is polycarbonate. It is the same material that you make bulletproof glass out of. If you ever try to break a DVD or a CD, you know how difficult it is to break? Well, imagine this is much thicker than a DVD, and so it's pliable, but yet it's very difficult to break. So what it does, it just basically slips over the top of the valve and entombs it. Then what you do, and I'm doing this from the back side, so it might be a little more difficult for me to get through. Oh, I did it really well. What happens is once the padlock's on, it completely entombs it. It now takes on the strength of the aircraft aluminum, and basically there's no way to get any fingers or anything in there or anything. So this is more focused on the theft deterrent. Still a lockout tagout. So when you see the numbers, you'll see, for instance, on this particular valve, AB500L TDS, theft deterrent sleeve. So the 400, 500, and the 700, they all have the TDS available for them. 600 doesn't, because it contours against the dash, and there's no need for it. To give you an example, on the 700, this is a 700, the sleeve goes on, it's smaller, and fits the 700. So this sleeve on this particular unit, the 500, this sleeve is interchangeable with the 400. The 700 is very specific because, again, it's shorter for the contour dash. I hope that this video has given you enough information that it'll make it easy for you to sell this product. If you have any other additional questions, you can reach me at 805-371-8825. You can go onto our website at www.absolutebrake.com, and under our product detailed section, there's a ton of information there for you. And we thank you again for taking a look at this video and offering this product to the public. Thank you very much. Have a great day.